Welcome to this presentation from North Metro Health Service Integrity Directorate, which looks at corruption prevention and detection during a pandemic. As we start, I'd like to show my respect and acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and of elders past and present, wherever we are today watching this presentation. The session today will look at what is integrity and corruption, and why the risk of corruption can increase during a pandemic. We will also look at red flags which may indicate corruption and what we can all do to protect North Metro Health Service from corruption and remind ourselves of our own reporting obligations. So what is integrity? Well, it's ensuring our own actions and our own personal values are aligned to bring integrity to everything we do. It's being honest and having strong moral principles that we refuse to change regardless of the environment we find ourselves in. But on a practical level, what does it actually mean to act with integrity? We're all public officers when we work for North Metro Health Service, and being a public officer means that we put our public interest first before our own private interest every single time. It's ensuring we uphold the values of North Metro Health Service. We all know the values: care, respect, innovation, teamwork and integrity. It's being accountable for our actions, and it's leading by example and complying with the policies and procedures, and most importantly, it's making reports of unethical behaviour. But what is corruption? So corruption is a dishonest activity when a staff member acts contrary to the interests of North Metro Health Service or the WA public. It's when someone abuses a position of trust in order to achieve some financial gain or advantage, either for themselves or another person or entity. This slide contains some examples of corrupt activity and includes accepting or offering bribes, often called kickbacks. It's when someone actively seeks to solicit gifts, benefits or hospitality or accepts such offers. It's also when someone fails to disclose or provides misleading information when they are declaring a conflict of interest. So with all that being said, why can the risk of corruption increase during a pandemic? As we've all experienced, in the past few years, with the arrival of COVID-19 pandemic, we are having to make decisions in what are sometimes chaotic and complex situations. The reality is that unfortunately, corruption often thrives during times of crisis, as some people may seek to take advantage of a pandemic situation. By identifying corruption risks before they happen, can help strengthen our response and get health care to those who need it most. Every dollar lost to corruption is a dollar we're not spending on caring for our patients. The corruption risk can increase during a pandemic due to numerous factors. Large sums of money are required to fund the government's response, and resources often need to be purchased urgently. As we've seen, some essential resources can be in short supply, and price gouging can occur. We regularly have to make quick decisions to address unforeseen or emergency situations, and staffing levels can be impacted for a variety of reasons as staff are redeployed, furloughed or have to work remotely. The workforce can begin to feel stressed through either their own personal circumstances or due to the work environment. Fraud and corruption is something that is normally a covert rather than an overt activity, and those committing fraud or corruption go to extraordinary lengths to hide their actions given the consequences they may face. The difficulty in identifying if corruption may be occurring is that the signs and indications may be subtle and not raise any concerns if assessed in isolation. However, below are some common corruption red flags. It is important to remember that a person may exhibit more than one of these behaviours simultaneously, and the presence of multiple red flags may indicate an even higher level of risk. Some of these red flags may not indicate corruption, but they do certainly warrant further investigation. When corruption goes on undetected over a period of time, unfortunately, it tends to escalate in terms of value and frequency. The Cressy's fraud triangle is commonly used to explain why someone decides to commit fraud or corruption in a workplace. Corruption and fraud do not happen by accident or on their own accord. They are deliberate and intentional acts committed by people. And corrupt behaviour is not just committed by so-called bad apples. The risk of fraud and corruption increases where good people are under pressure and when an opportunity arises. So looking at the triangle, opportunity is when there is a weakness in policies, procedures or controls, or a poor workplace culture provides an opportunity for someone to act corruptly. They may be under pressure, financial pressure to pay bills, or their partner may have lost a job. And the rationalisation can be, I'm only borrowing the money, not stealing it. I will pay it back. When all of these three elements exist, the risk of fraud or corruption for an employee is significantly increased. So we've looked at why the risk of corruption can increase during a pandemic, some corruption red flags, and the three elements which need to be present to allow someone to act fraudulently or corruptly. So we have to look at now the ways we can protect North Metro Health Service from corruption. So one of the first things we can do is ensure we identify, declare and manage conflicts of interest. A conflict arises when a public officer is placed in a situation where their duty to act independently and exercise professional judgment ethically may be or appear to be compromised by self-interest or relationships with a third party. Put quite simply, it's when our personal interests conflict with our official or public duties. As we said earlier, as public officers, we must always put public interest before private interest. In addition to this, the Code of Conduct requires us all as staff to disclose any personal or professional matters that may lead to actual or perceived conflicts of interest. It isn't wrong or unethical to have a conflict of interest. Quite often we'll have situations in our private or personal lives which may conflict with our public duties. What is important, however, is that we identify, record and appropriately manage these situations, not just to safeguard North Metro, but to safeguard ourselves. Please remember, if the situation changes, a further declaration of interest should be submitted. The best advice is to take a conservative approach and declare these conflict of interest situations. You will never be criticised for declaring a situation, but you can sometimes be questioned if you fail to declare the situation or you do not fully declare the situation. Working in a healthcare environment means we can sometimes be offered gifts or benefits from patients grateful for the care they have received. Whilst most gifts and benefits are simply intended as a memento or small token of appreciation, as public officers, we have to consider the following. Who is providing the gift, benefit or hospitality, and what is the relationship to me? Are they seeking to gain an advantage or influence any of my decisions or actions? And are they seeking a favour in return for the gift, benefit or hospitality? This is often referred to as creating a quid pro quo situation. And would accepting the gift, benefit or hospitality diminish public trust? There are some offers which can never be accepted under any circumstances. These include any gifts of money or of a nature easily converted to cash. Examples of this are lottery tickets or gift vouchers. Our staff members can never accept these. Any gift or offer which is capable of creating a perception that a public officer has accepted a bribe or benefit or gained an advantage. As we spoke about earlier, this can be corruption. The Gifts, Benefits and Hospitality Policy provides more information around this, and all offers of declarable gifts must be declared via our online Gift Declaration Registry. It's also important to record if you have declined a gift. Please add this into the Gift Declaration Registry. Again, it shows you've been transparent and accountable for these decisions, and you're safeguarding yourself and North Metro. Whether you're working from an office or remotely, it is important that you ensure you protect the confidential information you're entrusted to access to do your job at North Metro Health Service. Please only use your health email address and approved file transfer software, and ensure you physically secure and appropriately dispose of hard copy records. Please remember, social media platforms or messaging services or chat groups are not secure or appropriate ways to share confidential information. If you suspect unethical behaviour or corruption or need advice, please visit the Integrity Hub page for guidance. This page provides contact details of Integrity Directorate staff and a potential misconduct report form you can complete and send through for assessment. Alternatively, you can contact the Corruption and Crime Commission or the Public Sector Commission. The main thing is you fulfil your obligations under the Code of Conduct and report concerns of unethical behaviour quickly. The impact of corruption is felt far and wide. As mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, every dollar lost to corruption is a dollar we're not spending on patient care. When reports of corruption in our organisation are made public, this can diminish the public's trust in us and our ability to provide quality patient care. Ultimately, it can lead to staff losing their jobs. And as we've seen in media reports, when public officers choose to act corruptly, they can face severe consequences, which can include imprisonment. When corruption does occur in any workplace, it not only impacts the workplace morale when investigations are being conducted, but is also costly to repair the damage. If you are experiencing any pressures, either in your personal life or at your workplace, please access the Employee Assistance Programme, which is available to you. It is confidential and free of charge. Details are on the Intranet Hub page. Alternatively, you can speak to a manager, a trusted colleague, or contact HR or Work Health and Safety. So in summary, here are some key messages to prevent corruption in our workplace. The Code of Conduct requires us all to act ethically. This is by far the most effective corruption prevention measure. We all need to remember and comply with our reporting obligations. And we need to be vigilant in the workplace and report any of those red flags we spoke about earlier. Please report any weaknesses in our policies or practices that could enable corruption to occur. And please document decisions for transparency and accountability. And remember, the cost of corruption is significant, and corrupt behaviour will often escalate over time if left undetected. I would like to conclude this presentation with a statement from North Metro Health Service Chief Executive. You will be supported if you do make a report of suspected wrongdoing. We do want a look up, speak up culture here at North Metro Health Service. If you look around, you see those red flags, or you see behaviours that make you feel uncomfortable, or you're concerned there's unethical behaviour taking place, please come forward and report it in one of the avenues that we've spoken about in the previous slide. It is very important you know that North Metro does not tolerate victimisation of those making reports of unethical behaviour. We hope you found this presentation useful and it has increased your awareness and understanding ways in which you can detect and prevent corrupt behaviour in our workplace. As well as the intranet pages, there is some useful information available on the Department of Finance and the Public Sector Commission's websites. Please do not hesitate to contact the Integrity Directorate if you would like any more information. Thank you for your time.